Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Square Brackets. I'm super excited to introduce my new latest project with you all, that is AI powered Jira application that is going to be built using MERN stack, and I'm going to style it with Tailwind CSS. If you have ever worked with any project management tools like Jira, Kanban board, Trello's or something, so you know how important they are for the tracking of tasks, employees and everything. Now, this particular project is not going to be a simple Jira or a task manager application. It is going to be an AI powered Jira application. We are going to introduce some AI features in this application. I'll tell you how you can integrate some APIs of Gemini, or you can even use OpenAI later on, but I'm going to focus on the Gemini API to introduce here. So what this project is all about. So this is a full stack web application that helps you or your team members to manage your task efficiently. But this one comes with the AI integration. Now, what integration of AI we are going to do? We are going to integrate the power AI powered task suggestions, that whatever the task title you are going to type, I'm going to provide you some suggestions with that. Even I'll be showing you the prediction of the time taken to complete the particular task. So kind of these features we are going to include in this application. What is the tech stack I'm going to use? MongoDB, Express, React, Node. We are going to style it with the Tailwind CSS, and we are going to use the Gemini API to integrate our AI things. So we'll be implementing step by step how we are going to set up a full stack MERN project, front and back end, and then we are going to integrate some AI features like smart task suggestions and all. So without wasting any time, let me show you how our application will look like. So let's see quickly. So here is the application. Now, what this application is going to do for you, first of all, we are going to add the number of employees we have in the company. Or I'm not say a number of employee. We have to add whatever the employee you need to add in your company. Let's say you add the employee ID, something like this, EMP110. Then you enter the employee name. Let's name it him. I'll name it as Mark. Then you have to enter the skills of the particular employee. Let's say I'll map it to Python, Java, and let's say AI. So this is going to be a new employee in the company. Now, once you click add new employee, you can just go back to the MongoDB cloud and you can see the employees available in my company. So these are the employees, and this is the latest employee that I just added in my company. Now let's go back and see how our task assignment is going to work for us. So if I like want to enter any task, and you will notice if you refresh the application, whatever the number of employees we have, see Mark is now in my employee list. Okay. So if I just enter the task title, let's say I want to implement it hub, or I'll say implement Jenkins pipeline. That's it. Now I'll click on generate AI task suggestions. So once you click on AI task suggestions, it is going to generate a list of tasks that you can have in the task description, or you can use any of them. So let me just copy implement CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins. I'm going to use it in my task description. You can select the employee. Let's say I'll select Mark. I want to assign this task to Mark. You click on assign task. Okay, now once the task is being assigned, just refresh the application and you will be able to see employee name, task title, task description. And here is the another feature of AI, that is predicting the time to complete the particular task. See, for each task I'll be able to show you the time we are going to take to predict. We are going to predict how much time is being taken by the employee. This is the just prediction. All right. And in the database as well, we'll be able to see all the employees and all the tasks that is available to us. See, in my task I can see these tasks are available. So these are the 5 tasks I can see here, and this is how our application will be built end to end using the front end, back end, and everything will be there. So let's get started and see you in the next video. So we are going to create one task manager application. It's not going to be a simple task manager application. We'll be integrating proper AI APIs to empower our application so that we can have some additional features that normal task manager don't have. If you see, I'm using a word that is Jira also here. Task manager, simply like create, read, update, delete kind of operation. Everyone know about task manager. You can easily get that CRUD operation from anywhere like ChatGPT or Google as well. But when I say I'm going to talk about AI powered Jira application, what exactly it means. So first of all, let me show you that what exactly kind of application we have to build. Okay, see, what I'm planning is I simply want one application having different kind of components. Okay, let's say I just want one header with me. I need one form which I'm going to use to take the input from the user, like what is the employee ID, employee name, employee skills and all. Other thing, I need another form, and in that I will take another input. Let's say enter employee, enter the task title, task description, and then select the employee, whatever the employees you have added earlier. Then I want to show you one task board, and in that task board you will be able to see name of the employees like this: employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, employee 4, so on. Got it? So this is how employees will be visible to you. Now, if you click on any employee, you will be able to see task of that particular employee listed here. Task 1, task 2, what is the status of task and all. Okay. Then if you click on second employee, data of that employee. If you click on third, if you click on fourth, so whatever employee you will click, you will be able to see data of that particular employee. Now, this is a simple Jira application that we generally use in IT. What exactly is that? It's a product by Atlassian company, Jira. This is generally used to maintain the issues, manage the issues of the employees that is being assigned to them. It's an issue tracking system, also known as issue tracking system. It's not a simple task manager, it's a issue tracker. So whenever we join any company in IT, you will be using these kind of tools, Jira board, Kanban board. So these kind of boards are generally used. And what the purpose of these board is to manage the task that is being assigned to users. Let's say if a particular user employee is being assigned 3 to 4 different tasks. So how company is going to track that particular employee is being working on that task or not? So for those kind of reasons, we have these Jira applications. Okay, so there are two things we are going to talk. First is application, that is Jira. Second is the AI integration. All right. So the very first component I'm going to talk about is simple, nothing, just a header. Simple header. It's not going to be any rocket science for header. But when I talk about my first section, that is you have to first add a new employee like this. So first we are going to add a new employee to the team. For that, we are going to fill up a form. In that form, we will ask enter employee name. Then we are going to ask enter employee ID. Then we are going to take employee skills in the input. All right. Now, finally, after filling up this form, you will be having a submit button that add new employee. So when I click on add new employee, it will take this particular data of the employees and submit it to the MongoDB. It will be stored in the database. Simple enough. So what I want, when you enter employee name, ID and skill, I want this data to be stored in my MongoDB immediately. All right. Now, once my data is stored, I will do next thing. Next is I'm going to assign task to employee. Now, when I am assigning a task to employee, I need the task title, first thing. Second thing I need is the enter task description. And third thing I need is the select box. And in that select box, you need to select the employee to which you want to assign the task. And finally, I'll be having a assign task button. Okay. So here there is a button on which you click, you will add EMP. Another button is assign task. All right. Now, as of now, we are clear. Okay. So these are the two major components in my application I'll be having. One is add new employee. One is assign task to employee. Now, when I talk about adding a new employee, it will be connected to MongoDB. And whenever you enter anything in this text box and all, you click on add EMP, it will take my employee data to database. Then similarly, if I click on assign task, it will now here one thing here is the select EMP list will be coming from the database. Whatever employee you will be adding will be appearing here only. All right. Now, after that, the next part is where is the AI integration? There is no AI integration as of now. Okay, I'll be talking about. So first I'm talking about the application, then I'll be talking about the AI part. Now, finally, because it is a full stack application, so we have to make sure, okay, front end is created using React. This UI that you're looking here will be created using React. Then this data will be connected to Express and Express will send the data to MongoDB. And we are going to use MVC, Model View Controller, to implement this application. All right. Now, when you click on assign task, so first when you click on add EMP, the employee name will appear here. You let's say you enter the employee name. Let me just give you one example to make you understand. Let's say you enter the employee name, something like John. You enter his ID, EMP01, and then skill, something like PHP, Java, kind of this skill. Now, when you click on add EMP button, you will be able to see John here. Another employee, let's say Max. Another employee is, let's say, Steve. So kind of this application will be created. Okay. And what as of now I know, okay, so when you click on add EMP, my employee name will be here. And when you this list will be also coming from database, obviously. Now when you click on assign task, whatever the task you have assigned, you have to select the employee. So let's say if I select John, the task will be assigned to John. So here I will be able to see task, whatever task is being assigned to John. Let's say just UI implement he has to do. Then Max is another employee. He's doing something else. Okay. So kind of this, we are clear. Now, finally, this is going to be the full stack application we are going to create today. This was the very first part. The major part, AI. How AI is going to empower this application, where I can integrate the AI. See, in Jira applications, in task manager applications, first thing as AI integration I'll be doing is when you enter the task title, let's say if I want to enter a task title for the employee, that employee has to implement, suppose some React code or CI/CD pipeline, anything. So if I ask employee to implement this, this is going to be my task title. But now I want, with the help of AI, I want the suggestions to put those things in my description. Getting my point here? What I want from the AI is whatever the title I am entering, I want AI to give me suggestions that what are the kind of task title and descriptions I can use to implement the CI/CD pipelines. That this is going to be a correct word, this is going to be a correct phrase to use so that employee will understand, okay, this is what I have to do. First, this is the first integration of AI. Second integration of AI, whenever you click on assign task after filling up this complete form, let's say you implement the CI/CD and then run job, blah blah blah, something, and finally you select the employee, that this is the employee. Now when you click on assign task, here comes my another AI integration. My second AI integration will be, I want to predict the time that this particular task will be taken by a particular employee will take to complete the task. I want to predict the time in hours, that how much time employee need to complete this. This is going to be my prediction, that this is the predicted time. Let's say 5 hours is enough to implement this task. So when I click on assign task, immediately it will trigger AI and it is going to fetch how much time it is required to run to complete this task. So these are the two AI features I'm going to integrate in my application. And see, if I tell you, there is no such application which is doing this kind of a thing. Okay, let's say in real time, if I talk about, there might be different solutions available based on AI, but in real time, when we use Jira and all, there is nothing like that in those particular applications. They don't predict or do anything. They are simple task manager kind of applications. But here I'm trying to integrate two features. One is the It has to suggest the task title and the description. Second is the time duration. It has to predict that how much time this application will this task will how much time employee is going to take to complete this task. Like this is the ideal time employee should take. This is the prediction. So this is the application that we are going to build today. All right, let us now talk about the tech stack we need to complete this application. All right, the tech stack. What are the concepts? What are the technologies we are going to use in this particular project? And second thing, we see how we are going to set up the complete environment. So in the tech stack, if you see, there will be a front end and there will be a back end. All right. There is a front end and then there is a back end. So in front end, we are simply going to use React. For styling, I'm going to integrate Tailwind. Okay. For backend, we are going to use Node, Express, MongoDB. All right. This is the basic requirement that we have to implement the task manager application. But now if I talk about the AI integration, so that AI integration needs to be implemented through some cloud service. What services we are going to use? We have a lot of options. We have OpenAI, we have GCP to implement the Gemini, or we can integrate LangChain API. So there are multiple APIs available. But let me tell you the problem with these API. Gemini is the one we can use easily because Gemini Pro is the model that gives you prediction, and also the limitation is not like OpenAI, because the problem with OpenAI is there are a lot of limitations. Once you hit few requests, it will exhaust and it is not going to return the results. So it's good to use the OpenAI, but because of the limit of the particular number of calls in free, you cannot hit a number of calls. So that's why we will use Gemini. Okay. And in order to use Gemini, we have to understand the basics of Google Cloud console, like how to create the API keys and all. So these are the three major things we have: the front end, the back end, and there is the cloud service. So this is going to be the simple tech stack for our application. All right. Now, apart from the tech stack, the pattern we are going to use is obviously MVC. Okay, that is model view controller. Because without MVC, you don't implement any application. You don't have to implement any application. Okay, in IT industry, if you are going to become a developer and you are not using MVC, see, your code will never be modularized. Okay, and if you want a modular code, if you want modularity in the code, you need things like MVC. Okay, so model is going to take care of the database thing, view is going to take care of your front end, controller is going to take care of the it's like it is going to work like a bridge between the model and the view. So it is going to handle the request and the responses. Okay, so this is the pattern we are going to use. So when you mention the project in the resume, you have to make sure that you're going to mention everything like this, that I created a Jira application that was AI powered, and this was the tech stack I was using, and I was also using MVC. So this is the final thing. Now let's move on and understand the setup of the application. Finally, we are going to start with the VS Code and try to integrate the front and back end separately. All right, so let's get started quickly. Let me go to VS Code here. Now here we are going to see that I don't have anything as of now. So first you need two different directories. One is backend. And now I will suggest to create the front end using terminal. And now here I want to create npm create wait at the rate latest front end. I'm going to use wait to create the React project. Okay. There are two ways. Either you use CRA, create React app, or you can use wait. So I'm going to use wait. Okay. So npm create wait at the rate latest front end. Now select simply React, JavaScript, cd frontend npm install. Now we are all set. Our frontend will be ready. All right. So if you see my front end is the project structure is ready. Okay. Right now SRC and everything is there. Let's go to backend. Now in backend, what you need is in backend, let's use a different terminal for a front end and for backend. Okay. There will be two different terminals I'm going to use. For backend, I'm going to use another terminal cd backend npm init -y so that it will create package.json. It will initialize my project like this. All right. Then inside the backend, let's go and create a new file, server.js. And in backend, I need few folders. Let's say I need a folder known as model. I need a folder known as controller. I need routes. Then I also need configurations for database. I need a file .env. And if you don't know about .env, don't worry. We'll talk about why I'm creating .env file. So we have config, controller, model, routes. And there will be one more folder that is services that is going to store my AI services. Okay. Whatever services I need in my project, I'll be having my services folder. This is the project structure, the first thing that we created. And if it is not visible to you, let me show. See, there is backend. Backend is having configuration, controller, model, route, services, and all. There is the server.js. In front end, we have public. Right now it's empty. Then in SRC, you have the by default structure available. And in the CSS and all, we will completely get rid of the code, whatever is available by default. So here we are, and we are all set to start with the implementation of our project. First thing, what you can do is if you see your app.jsx, because when you use Vite, by default, it generates a code. I don't need this code. You can completely delete this. You can simply have a function app, and then you just need to return just h1 tag. I'm writing here Jira application, and then you export default app. That's it. And you'll be able to execute this. Now in index.css, delete this. App.css, delete. I'm clearing out everything. I don't need any CSS. So our project setup is completely ready to start with. Let us now start with the front end implementation first. So the very first thing, I need a front end, and I need a front end in different components. Let's say I need a header, I need a add employee form, I need task assign form, I need task board to display. So these are the kind of things I need in my application. So first thing I need is to create a folder in SRC, name it as components. All right. So first thing I need here is the components. What are the components you need? In my application, there is a component, let's say simple header.jsx. Then another component I need is there will be employee management, suppose employee management.jsx. Then there will be a tabs, employee tabs section where I want to display the employee tabs. Then we can have a task component where you're going to fill the task form. So you can name it as task sign or task management dot .jsx. So these are the four major components I need in my application. See, when I showed you the picture, like what exactly the application I need, I already told you about that there are four components. One is the header component. One is going to be the left side component, that is going to be my where you're going to fill the detail of employee, enter employee ID, skills, and everything. At the right, we need the task, enter task title, task description, and all. And at the bottom, I need a separate tab that is for the employees. So whenever you click on any particular tab, only the data of that particular employee should be visible to us. All right. So these are the four components I need. The first component I need is the header. Let's go to header. Header is a simple component. You don't have to do a lot of things in the header. I'll just name it as const header. And inside the header, we don't have to pass any prop. And here I just want to do simple thing that I want to return you the header tag. All right, inside header, nothing will be there, just one h1 tag. And here I'm writing Jira application. All right, now this Jira application will be as my output. Simple. Now you can export this. So you can use export default header. All right. Even if you want, you can create one styling. Though we are going to use the Tailwind, but still, what if I want some custom styling? So I will create a new style here. Let's simply name it as app, not app, components dot styles dot css. All right. So this is going to be a common css I'll use for my all the components. Okay. So now in my header, what I can do is import dot slash, the name of my file is components dot styles dot css. Okay. So this is just for custom styling I need. Now let's execute the front end and see the output. All right. Let's go to the front end. We are already in the front end section. Let's do a clear. Now in the front end, I need to execute a command npm run dev so that my front end will execute. All right, let's see, because we have not imported header as of now. Okay, so I'll remove this and here I will write header. It will automatically import it. Okay, now let's go to the output and see my header. Okay, so we can see header is available to us, visible to us as a Jira application is my output. Now in this Jira application, I just want a little bit of styling. And as I told you, we are going to integrate Tailwind for the styling part. All right, so let's quickly install the Tailwind. And how we are going to install it when you are using Wheat. Let me show you. So the first thing you need to do is npm install -d tailwind css @ 3 post css and auto prefixer. Okay, if you will go to Tailwind documentation, you will see this exec command available. Okay, so when you are going to use React with Wheat, okay, so this is the command you are preferred to use to install the Tailwind. All right, so what we are doing here is install the Tailwind CSS @3, then post CSS, and then auto prefixer. Once it is installed, next command is to initialize the Tailwind. So Tailwind init -p. It is going to create one config file for Tailwind. Enter this command. Now we can see at the left side, you will be able to see one file tailwind.config.js. So this file will be created once you execute this npx command. All right. Now here in the content section, you need to add the index.html and you need to add the file extensions that are supported like JSX, TSX, kind of this. And if you don't remember these kind of thing, not to worry about. You just need to do one thing. Just Google something. You can install Tailwind CSS with Wheat using React. So it will redirect to you to the documentation. Let me see if this is the correct URL. Let me open it. Not this we are talking about. See, no, it's not here. Tailwind CSS with React. Actually, the URL is different. What I want to see. Let's do one thing. P3 Tailwind CSS. Yeah, let me see now. Yeah, I think this is the correct. Yeah, exactly this one. So now you can see here, I will share the URL. Now in this URL, you can see this is the command I'm using. So first you create your project like this, then you install the Tailwind. I did that. And then finally in the content, you have to add these two things. All right. In the content, you just need to paste it. That's it. Then if you scroll down, you will be able to see that index.css need these three things. So let's go to index.css and paste it out. Close it. npm run dev, we are all set. And finally, we can test how our Tailwind is going to work. Let me run the server again for the front end only, okay? And if I do refresh, you can see Tailwind is implemented, okay? Why I'm saying this, because the styling has been changed. So that's why I'm saying that, okay, Tailwind is now executing successfully. All right. Now let's do one thing. I will show you side by side the output here. So whatever changes I'm going to do, you'll be able to see how it is working. So let's go to this header, not here. Need header.jsx, just go here. And then I want to use different classes. So let's use the class name for header. I want to do a text align center. So it will take your text to the center. Okay. So I have added a class name text center. Then what else I need is, let's say, padding from top bottom. So padding on y-axis, let's give it 5. So there will be some calculation that it is going to do. Then in this h1 tag, let's increase the font size. And in order to increase the font size, you can use text 3XL. And then if you want to do font weight bold, so you can use font bold. Okay. So this is how you can simply integrate the Tailwind CSS. I hope that that's pretty easy to use. And if you want, you can simply Google Tailwind cheat sheet. It is going to be really helpful for you all to work with this cheat sheet so that you can see all the whatever you need in the Tailwind is available here. So let's say if I want to change the header background color, so just go to backgrounds and see how you can change the color of your background, whatever color you need. All right. So you can pick any of the color from here. Let's say I want to use BG blue 700. So you can simply write here BG blue 700. Okay. And let me save it. Okay. So you can see this color. Now you want to change the text color to, let's say, white. So you can write here text white. So this is how my first part is implemented. So my header component is completely ready. That's it. Once your header is ready, you can switch to another component. And now from here, we are going to work with main components. Okay. So first thing we should we understand about how to simply integrate the Tailwind with our React project. This is how it was integrated. Perfect. Let's close this header. Header is done. Now the first thing I need is the employee management. Now what is the employee management? Employee management is simply a form. It's nothing, just a form. And in this particular form, I need enter employee ID, enter employee name, enter employee skills. Only 3 parameters will be there. That's it. All right. So we just need 3 parameters to work with. All right. So let's start. Const, let me use export keyword as well. Let's name it as employee management. And then let's create the form first, and then we'll initialize the states and everything, whatever is required. I just need to return a div. Let's name it as EMP wrapper. Okay. You can name something else. I'm naming it as EMP wrapper. It's not anything predefined in Tailwind or something. Okay. This is just the name I'm using. Let's create the first thing in the employee. Let's say there is a heading I need first, which says add employee. And then there will be a div, name it as input group. Okay. Now what this input group is exactly, In this input group, I'm going to use a label. There will be a label tag. Inside label, I will write, let's say, enter employee ID, first thing. Second thing I need is a input type text box. All right. So you can mention here type is equals to text, placeholder, enter employee ID. That's it. So the first thing we are supposed to do is create the form, and that form should look great. Okay. We are not going to create a simple static kind of HTML UI wise. It's not going to look cool to something to you. So we have to focus. I'll be focusing on that part specifically. All right. Now, the point is, let's go to app.jsx, and here I need something. So first wrap this application. Then I need a div. I'll put some class name over here. I'll tell you what class I'm going to use. And then inside this, my first component will appear, that is employee management. Now, if I go to the output, I can see add employee, enter employee ID, and there is the text box in front of it. But the point is, if you see, it's very like not a good looking thing, obviously. So the first thing you need is from the left and right, I need a proper styling. So I need to use a container. Now container is what? Container is like going to provide you from the left, right, equal width should be there, equal width will be there. And from the left and from the right, you need a proper margin. So what I'll do, just go to this class name, use a width, something like, if you want reference, you already have Tailwind CSS. I know what I have to use. Okay. So you can simply use W 10/12. So 10 by 12 is going to assign a width to your container, to this particular div, and do margin auto. So m hyphen auto to do the margin auto part. Simple. Okay. Now save it. See, oh, you are automatically getting some space from the left hand side because I'm using margin auto. Okay. Now in this employee management, go back to this. We need some styling for our enter employee ID and this. All right. And I will use something else. One more thing I need. Let's do it div. Let's convert this thing into a div. Put a div ID container here. And in this, I'm going to put a class name. For my complete website, I need a background gray, suppose 100. So you see at the background, you have a 100 is the basically kind of opacity. If you increase the number to 700, the color will get dark. I don't want a dark color. Okay. I want a light color like 100. Okay. Then if I use h-screen class name, it is going to do my container 100% to the height of the screen. See, and then I'll go back to employee management and do rest of the things with it. So in the employment, this is the employee wrapper here. Let's go there. In the employee wrapper, I'll make it as background white. Just wait for it. It is going to look awesome. Okay. So first I have background white, then do a shadow. In order to add the shadow, you just write shadow MD medium. Okay. Shadow will be added to this. See here. I hope you're able to see the shadow part. You can see shadow is also added here. After adding shadow, what else I need? Let me do one thing. Do use word wrap. Okay. After shadow, I need the next thing, rounded. So it will be rounded corners. Okay. See, corners are now rounded. Then I need padding, let's say 5. 5 is not the 5 pixel. Okay. 5 is basically responsible for some calculation. Then what else I need? If you want, you can give a width, let's say 1/3. 1/3 is, I guess, 33% I am giving to this box. Okay. So you can see I'm going to create a form. Okay. And that form is 33% in the width. Go to H2, give a class name. Let's say that text hyphen 3XL. So it will add this. Do text center. So it will move the text to center. And what else I can do? Font. Let's do semi bold, not bold. I'm doing semi bold. Also, you can give a margin bottom for MB5. MB is basically margin bottom, MT margin top. Okay. So this is how I'm giving the margins. Now let's go to this div. Now in this div, we have a label tag to class name block. After this employee ID, the label will be in a different line and the text box will be in a different line. Now let's style the text box. So class name for my text box is, first of all, give a border to this. Border is added. Give a width. Let's give it full 100%. 100%. You want to give height. Height is not required. You can give padding like this. And what else you can do is, it looks good. Yeah, I think so. And this you can also give a margin bottom too. All right, perfect. See, enter employee ID. You need to enter the employee ID like employee 101. All set. Now you just need to copy this box, paste. This is enter employee name, enter employee name. Then again, paste, enter employee skills. Okay, enter employee skills. Done. And after each box, I want to give a margin. So input group and then MB4, MB4, MB4. Okay, so this is enter employee ID, enter employee name, and enter employee skills. And finally, we need a button. So let's create a final div that is my button group. Okay, so class name is nothing, just a button group. Inside this button group, I just need a button. Inside the button, I'll write here add new employee. Now this button should look great. So how it is going to look great after you add the class name attribute. So let's add some classes to it. So simply use class name is equals to, let's say the width is, suppose I want to give 1/2, that is 50% of that particular div. Then I will use a background color. So I will use BG Indigo 500. Okay, I know these color value, that's why I'm directly giving. Then I need a white color text, so I'll use text white. Then you need a padding, so you can write P hyphen. Actually, I need padding from top bottom only, so Py y-axis. Okay, 4 is use 3 only, Py3. So now our this particular button is also ready, and move it to center. And we are just going to work on one form. Another form will be just a copy paste. Okay, in the another form you don't have to write everything from scratch. I'll just copy paste this form and another form will be ready for you. We are all set with the first part. Our add employee form is ready. Similarly, I need another form, and one thing I want to give my header is the margin bottom. So just give MB4. Okay, so there will be a space between header and this box. That's it. We are done. Now I need another form, that is the task management. So in order to get the task management, I'm just going to copy and paste this, name it as task management, and this will be a task wrapper. Enter. This is not add employee, this is assign task window. So in this, I'm going to show you how to assign the task. So in order to assign the task, we need enter task title, enter task description, and this is not going to be an input, it is going to be a text area. Don't need the type, just write enter task description, enter task title. And finally, the third one is not going to be the skill, the third one is going to be the select employee. Now the select employee will be dynamic. It will be coming up from the database. The list of employee will be coming from the database. So there is no select tag. There will be there is no input tag. There will be a select tag. Okay. No placeholder is there. Select tag is like this only. Then you use select. All right. This is my select tag. Cut this, paste here. Now, what is the option you need? So the first option I'm just mentioning here, select employee. Done. Now, if you import this one, if we are going to import the task management here, you will be able to see another form, but this employee management form is available here. I want this in the right side. In order to get this form to the right, you need a flex. You need to apply flex. So this class name, you can add a flex here. And once you add the flex, see, automatically left right adjustment is there. Then I can put justify between. So it will apply space between property. Now these are exactly to the left and right, but I'll increase the width of second box. So now you can actually increase the width of both the boxes a little bit. Let's say the first one we have given the width 1/3. Second one is also 1/3. For second one, I can change the width to something else. We can make it as 1/3, where it is. Yeah, let me try 2/3 here. Okay. 2/3 is going to be actually 66. So 66, 33 completed. Let's go to the width section in this. Let's go to width and see the width I want to give is 58. So I'll give 7/12. Okay, I'm going to put it 7/12. It will give 58% only, so that I'll be having some space. Perfect. We are all set. And instead of add new employee, it is going to be assign task. And we are done. So two main sections are ready. Two form are actually ready. One is the add employee, one is the assign task. So first thing I want is if you enter the employee ID, enter employee name, enter skills, click on add new employee. It should take your employee data to the database. It should be stored there. And when I assign the task, everything will be selected as it is. And if I click on assign task, it will take my data, store in the database. That's it. This is the very first thing that I need to store my these two things in the data. And for the front end, we'll be having three component: add employee, assign task, and the final one will be the how to show your employees and their task assigned to them. We'll do that later, but first now I'll be integrating the database, the backend part for these two only, so that I can store the employees and the task in my database. Now the next part of this application is to integrate the backend for these two, for add employee and for assign task. So once I click on add new employee button, I want, there is a MongoDB database going on at the back. I want my data to be stored in the database. And when I click on assign task, same thing will happen. Okay. In order to implement that, what is the code requirement and all everything we need to set up. So you can set up MongoDB on cloud. Obviously, you just need to go MongoDB at plus. Let's open it. So first you need to log in, and once you log in, you will get a free cluster. Okay, let me click on sign in. You can sign in with Google or you can create your own account. So I'll prefer to log in with the Google. Okay, no need to create a separate account for this. Select whatever the email ID you have, continue with it. All right, and done. Okay, so here we are. Now by default, when you open MongoDB for the first time, what you need to do is you need to create a cluster for you. Okay. If you are learning MongoDB for the very first time, so there are two ways to work with MongoDB. Either you download and install MongoDB in the local machine, you will get the shell just like MySQL and all, or MongoDB is available on cloud, so you can directly use on the cloud. So I will prefer to use it on cloud. Okay, so you can directly use MongoDB with cloud services. It will be easier for you in future to deploy the application. Okay, so now we need a cluster. So because I have logged in earlier as well, so that's why it is asking me to resume from here. Okay, and if you don't have any cluster, so you first need a cluster always. Okay, when you sign in for the very first time, it will automatically ask you to create a cluster. See, here you can see if I want to create a new cluster, you can just choose whatever you want, cluster one and all. So The point is I already have a cluster and it offers only one cluster in free. Okay. After that, the clusters are not free to use. Only one cluster is free to use. So if I try to create another cluster, I don't have free option here. But when you create the cluster for the very first time, it will show you third box will be of the free only. So I'll click on resume. That's why. Okay. So because this is the only free cluster I can use. In your case, remember, if you click on the create cluster part in the cluster, you just need to select the free, remember, and then create a new cluster for you. So meanwhile, it is going to create the cluster. We can start with the backend implementation. It will take 1 to 3 minutes. Let's go to VS Code. Now in the VS Code, I'll close the front end, move to backend. Okay, I'm going to close all these files, close everything. Let's go to backend. In backend, I have server.js, which is empty by default. So now first you need to create a server for your backend application. So how do you create a server? Using Express. So const require, sorry, let's name the variable app is equals to require. And what I require is Express. First thing. Second thing I need is Mongoose. Second thing I need is Mongoose. So Mongoose is equals to require Mongoose, but we don't have this module as of now. We have not installed Express. We have not installed Mongoose. We don't have. Okay. So we have to install them. We'll be installing. Now, once the app is created, I just want to do app dot and let's take a variable as well for port number on which port you want to run this application. So either you pass the port number from environment or use port number, let's say 5500. This is the port number I'm assigning. You can choose any 4-digit number. Okay. So app.listen. So first argument is port and second argument is, and one thing I missed here, this is going to be express and then I need an app variable like this. Okay. Then it is going to work. So now, and then you can do console.log just to make sure that server is running on port, comma, port, and we are done. So the server is created for our Express application. My first part is implemented, that is the server. Now, once the server is being done from our side, the second thing we need to do is we need model, view, controller. View is front end, so just skip the view part. We need model and controller, two major things. Now, what is this model is going to do? What exactly the controller is going to do? Model is simply responsible for assigning the employee and the task to the database. Okay, it is just going to create the schema. You need to create the schema. So I need two files. One is task.js, one is employee.js. So I need two files in the model folder. Similarly, in controller, you need employee controller.js and you need a task controller.js. See, whatever the number of components you have, if you have 5 components, 6 component, for each component, always we are going to create separate model view controller structure. In the route, similarly, there will be a task route.js and there will be employee route.js. Correct? This is how it should be. Always remember you'll be having in your backend. So I'm having two because I have employee form and I have a task form. So that's why I'm creating separate controller, separate model and separate route for each of them. So first thing is the employee.js and task.js need schema. So we'll start with the EMP first. Okay, just close the task. Let's focus on employee first. So first thing you need is the schema. So let's use Mongoose first. Mongoose is equals to require Mongoose. We have to install it. Remember, we have not installed Mongoose as of now. Then const employee schema is equals to new mongoose dot schema. It's not giving hint because I have not installed the MongoDB. If you want to work it in a better way, it's recommended to install Mongoose. Okay, so let's install npm install express Mongoose. Let's install these two so that we'll get proper hints. So we need Express and Mongoose both. And now if I go here and write mongoose.c, now you're getting hints. Perfect. In order to get proper hints, make sure that modules are installed. So now in the schema, what we need to do is, what are the arguments you need to pass in the schema? One is the employee ID. The data type will be string. Second is the employee name. The data type is again string. Third is employee skills. The data type is again string. That's it. Now, if I tell you for the task, you have to do the same thing, just copy and paste. So you will use module.export is equals to mongoose.model. Name of a schema is employee and the variable name is emp schema and done. Our schema is ready for employee. Now, similarly, you can do for the task. Just copy this code, paste in task.js, replace emp with task. Now, there will be a task title, there will be a task description, there will be a employee name. Three things will be there. So the name will be task and this is task schema. That's it. How easy it is. Just try to understand how easy it is to implement the complete end-to-end application. It's not very complicated. It's not going to take a lot of time for you. You need to understand step by step. Okay, the first thing we needed is the schema for employee, because see, we create a schema on the fly in MongoDB. You don't have to create a predefined schema. So if I go to my MongoDB now, see my cluster is ready, and if I want to connect, I'll show you. If you click on this connect button, you'll be able to connect with it. If you go to browse collections, if you go to browse collections, you will see whatever the earlier databases I have worked with. Okay, these are some previous databases that I have already worked with. All right, now if you don't create a database, see, I'm not creating database. You can create. If you don't create, it will create automatically. Name it as test. Test DB is already there. So it is going to create a test for you, and in that test, it will automatically load the data. So you don't have to create any collection, any schema by default. Just skip this part. You just need to set the cluster. That's it. All right. We'll get back to it. Now my two things are ready. One is the employee schema and one is the task schema. Now the next part is their controllers. So if I go to employee controller, now what is the role of controller? Controller is nothing. It is going to take care of the request and response. Okay. Now what is the meaning of this request and response? See, if you want to create employee or if you want to retrieve the data of employees, what do you have to do? You have to trigger some MongoDB query, correct? So the controller is going to take the request from the view and send it to the database, the model. So first you need is employee is equals to require dot slash model slash employee. So first retrieve the model employee. Now the first service I'm going to write is of the create employee. This is going to be my first service. Another service will be having for get employee. Okay. Now let's create the employee first. So export dot create employee is equals to sync request response and then const. Now, what are the parameters you are going to send from the body? One will be the employee ID, then employee name, and then employee skills. There are three things that I'm going to pass from request dot body. I will retrieve them. So how this is going to connect? See, when you fill up the form on your front end, When you fill up the form on your front end, you will click on submit button. And when you click on submit button, this create EMP function will be called, and we are going to pass the data to this particular function. So three parameters will be passed: employee ID, employee name, employee skills. So I'm extracting these three variables from my request.body, because I told you controller is going to take the request and return the response. So in the request, we have a body, and from the body, I'm extracting these three variables. Now, once you have this data available, you can create a new employee object and then paste it. Actually, just copy. You just need to copy this and paste it out. That's it. And finally, using await, you can save the data to your MongoDB. And in response, what you can return is a JSON type of employee object. And that's it. See, in order to create a new employee, I'm using a sync await. Why? Because this is going to call your service of the MongoDB. It is going to store the data in MongoDB. It's a different service running in the background. So let's wait for it to save the data in the database. So first line, simply define that I'm receiving something from the request, that is body. Request is kind of an object. It is having a lot of things. So one of them is body. Inside the body, I'll be having three things: employee ID, employee name, and employee skills. These three variables I'll be passing from the front end. Now you create a new object at the back, and that object you are saving it. So it is simply going to save the data in your backend, in your database. Now, in order to get the employees, you need to do exports dot get all EMP. It's another service that I'm creating. Okay, so these are services. Remember, sync, request comma response. And see, once you create one service, another service you'll be able to understand easily. And always make sure you put this code under try catch. So in case if I receive any error or something, then I can mention response dot, I will set the status or something. Let's say 500, and then JSON, I'll pass a message error, some error, or I'll mention internal server. You might have seen this message whenever you implement whenever you like you are using any application, and sometime this error happens, that internal server error. What does this mean? This simply means that something went wrong, and if you want to print the error, you can console the error. Okay, you can just mention in the console.log error while saving emp comma error. So it will help us to understand that there is some error in the application, that data is not being submitted. Then another code will be related to the how you are going to get the list of employees. It's very easy. Const employees equals to await emp dot find method is there. So if you use find method, you will be able to get the list of employees. And in the response dot JSON, I can pass the employee list. And in catch, copy this code, paste it, done. That's it. We are all set to create the employee and to get the employees. This is all we needed to do here. That how you can create the employee. This is the service of creating new employee, and this is the service to get all the employees. Now, how this function will be called when user is going to hit that button. So that button will take you to the route. So now comes the use of routing, that how we are going to route the user to employee route. So there will be employee route.js, and then there is task route.js. So we are focusing first on employee route. Now we need express first for the route, require express. Then we need router. So express dot router. Then we need create EMP. And another thing we need is the get all EMP. So there are two functions we created in controller. Remember, see, this is how we are connecting controller slash employee controller. So if you try to understand how we are connecting the application, So in order to work with this, in order to connect the dots, see, server.js will talk to route, route will talk to controller, controller will talk to model. Simple enough. So in the routing part, I'm attaching my controller with it. And then I will write router.get. So there will be, let's say, slash employee list. If I trigger this URL, it is going to call get all employees. And if I do router.post, if you want to submit a new employee, if you want to create a new employee, so the route will be create and then create EMP. That's it. And finally, you do module.export is equals to router. We are done with the routing part as well. Just few line of code and you are ready with the routing. So what exactly routing is going to do now? So we are creating an API for employee. If you hit employee list URL, it will get all the employees. If you hit create URL, it will call the create EMP function of the controller. And now the final part is server. That is going to be the final part, that in server.js, we need to call this route file. So first of all, what you need is const emp routes is equals to require dot slash routes slash emp route, and then app dot use. Now I'm creating the API, so it will be API slash employee, and then employee routes will be attached. That's it. So it is going to simply take the URL from the user. That user is going to click on submit button, and that button will redirect you to a URL. That URL will be something like API slash EMP slash either EMP list or create. If it is EMP list, get all EMP will be called from here. It will get all the employees and return you as a response. Now, if you click on the create a new employee button, if you click on the create new employee, it will take you API EMP. From the route, it will see create. Create will call create EMP function. It is going to create a new employee for you. That's it. We are all set to test our first application. But before that, we need one more thing. So app.use, whenever you are using application like this, you are handling the JSON response, you always have to set here express.json. Okay, because you're telling here your express application that I'm handling the JSON responses. So you just need to mention this. Final front end, back end, both are done. Front end needs to be connected with backend, but backend needs to be connected to the database. That is the last part. We have not configured the database part yet. Means the MongoDB is here, but how I'm going to connect my MongoDB to my backend. So now from here, if you want to connect with your application, what you need is you need the URL of your particular cluster. Okay, so you need the URL of the particular cluster. Let's go here and let me check one thing. Let's go to connect. In the overview, you can see there is a connect. Let's go to connect. In the connect, I'll simply select the drivers. And if you see, there is a URL available to you. Okay, it directly show you this particular URL. Now even you can click on view full sample code. So it will directly show you the complete code like this. This is how you have to use this URL. Got it? Let me go back and let me see one more thing. Okay. I hope this makes sense that you just need to do something like this. You need this URL, and if you copy and paste this URL, you need to aware of the password, whatever the password you have. Okay, let me copy this and let's go back to the code. Now, let me tell you why we created .env. See, you need few configuration. For example, you need your MongoDB URL, MongoDB password will be there. So kind of these things will be there. How we are going to work on these particular files? Okay, there are two ways. Either you can manage through the environment variable. Okay, either you can simply use environment variable or something, or you can use .env kind of a file where you can simply deploy your variables. Okay, your variables like this Mongo URI that we are going to use. So in order to connect with MongoDB, we already have Mongos, so it will request you something. What it is going to request, let me show you. So we need mongoose dot connect. Inside connect, you need to have a URI. See the string that I copied. Okay, I can take that string in my variable over here, but it's not recommended to take variable like this. The reason being is we need to store our variables, passwords, everything in a different environment. As of now, in order to test, you can do that. You can paste it here. You just need to mention whatever the password you have. I guess in my case, it is might be admin. So kind of this we can do. All right. Now in this Mongo URI, what I can do is in the connect, I'll simply pass Mongo URI, then use directly a method dot, then inside then I'll pass console.log and I'll mention a message MongoDB connected. And there will be one more thing. If I get any error, so I'll catch it, error, and then I'll mention console.log, whatever the error is. You can even use console.error. So this is how we are going to connect with the MongoDB. We are all set to connect with MongoDB. Now, what the last part is that our front end needs to be connected with the backend. It means that our React part in SRC, if you go to components and if you go to the employee management.jsx, so there is a button, add new employee. So if I click on this button, it should connect with my backend. It should connect with your server.js. It will take you to this URL and this URL will take you to the route. Route will take you to the controller and controller will submit your data to the database. So that is the only part remaining, that we have to connect our front end and back end. Now the next thing is that we want to integrate front end back end and we want to connect them. All right. So finally, we are on that particular stage that we are going to click on the submit button and it should connect my front end with the back end. Let's go to the button. On button, I want to make a click. Okay. On button, you want to make a click. So on click, I will call a function. Let's say handle add employee. So there is a function I'm going to call known as handle add emp. There is no function such like this. Okay. So you can create a function over here. I'm going to create a new function. Let's name it as const handle add employee. All right. Now in this function, I'm going to pass one argument. Let's say event e, and it should do prevent default. Otherwise, my form might reload or something. So I'm just using prevent default so that form should not reload. Let's use a try catch block. In the try block, first thing you need to do is to hit the API of backend. The backend API basically, and even one thing, if you want to test your backend, how you can test it without front end? You can use Postman or you can use Thunder client over here. So in VS Code, there is directly Thunder client, or you can integrate Postman with it. So you can easily test your backend APIs if they are working fine or not. Okay, that is a good practice always because when you create the backend, in order to test it out, you can use Postman kind of services, and then with the help of the Postman, you will be able to understand, okay, my backend is working perfectly fine. I just need to focus on front end part. Okay, but if you want, you can test it out directly with front end, so it will give you a clarity on both the things running all together. So how we are going to work with the front end, how we are going to call the API. So we are going to use Axios in the front end React part. I'm going to use Axios to do the API calls. Okay, so let me go to the front end, and in front end I will install Axios. Using Axios, I can make API calls easily. So let me import Axios from Axios. All right. Now in this handle add EMP function, because it is going to make the, whenever you are doing API calls, you always need to make sure you are using sync await. And the reason being is because it is going to run in the background. We need to wait until we get the response. So await Axios. Now it is going to use a function post because we are sending the data. Okay. So post, and inside the post, I need the URL of my backend. So my backend URL will be local host. What is the port number on the backend server.js? I have 5500. I'll use 5500 slash. After slash, you have to put this API EMP. Okay, because see, you'll be having API for task route, so it will be task here. All right, and I'm commenting it because it is we don't have a task route as of now, so it will be task routes. So this is how my application will differentiate that you are going to handle the employees or you are handling the task right now. So I want to handle the employee. So it will be slash API slash EMP, then slash. After the slash, you will see after this, it will take you to EMP route. Now, what do you want to do? You want to get the employee or you want to create the employee? I want to create the employee. So simply write create. That's it. First thing is set. Now the second thing is, in this I need another argument, and that argument is my data, what you want to send the data to the backend. I want to send three things: employee ID, employee name, and employee skills. But I don't have these three variables with me as of now. So I need to create three variables. So I need to create state of three variables. One is employee ID, set employee ID is equals to use state by default empty, then const employee name is my another variable, set employee name is equals to use state, third variable is employee skills, then set emp skills is equals to use state. All right, so there are three variables. How we are going to change the value of these three variables? When you input anything in the text box, you need to change the state of these variables. It's a simple use state thing in React. And what you have to do is here, enter employee ID. So what you need to do is on change E, then set emp ID e dot target dot value. This is how you're going to set the value of the current text box. So just copy, paste. This is employee name, copy, paste. This is the employee skills, all set. So now there are three text boxes. On each text box, I have used on change. So whenever you're going to change the value of this text box, it is going to set the employee ID. Whenever you will change the name of employee, it will set the employee name. Whenever you will change the employee skills, it will set the employee skills. Three variables are there. All three variables are set, and we are done with the integration part as well. Now, after this, what is the requirement? So this is going to hit the API, and then we need to empty our variables. Set employee name, set employee skills. I'm just removing everything from these variables. Okay, so you can simply use one more thing over here, that is value, and in the value just put it employee ID, then value employee name, value employee skill. So when you clear out the set state, the state of all three variables, so it will be clean. It will automatically clean your text boxes. It will remove whatever you have in the text box. And finally, you can do console if you get the error. Console.log error creating new employee, and what is the error? Just print it out. And you need one more thing, that is finally. Inside finally block, okay, let me get rid of finally. As of now, I'm not using finally. We are done. So we just need to execute this code and the front end will connect with my backend. This is the URL of my backend, and backend will trigger first this API. This API will take you to the route. It will create a new employee. It will go to the controller to create the new employee. And then we will see on the output of the MongoDB if my new employee is created, and we are all set to test our application. This is my front end. This is my backend. Let's start the front end. npm run dev and see if there is any error. Okay, let's go here. Always make sure to check error in the console. Okay, just open the console. We don't have any error. We are good to go. Okay, just move it to bottom. No error in the console. All right. Now let's start the backend. How we are going to trigger the backend? Node server.js. Execute. Server running. MongoDB connected. Perfectly fine. Both the things are done here. Now we just want to execute the application and see if I'm able to store the data of my employees in the database. So I'll take employee ID as 101, enter employee name. Let's name it as John Cena. Let's add the skills, Python, Java, C++. All right, so here we have the first employee and let's see if it is going to work or fail. Add. Some error is there. Okay, I think we need one more thing because the URL is there, but it is not executing. Might be we need course exactly. So why it is giving you error? It has been blocked by the course policy, that is cross origin request. So what we need to do is we need to install a package known as CORS course. Okay, and how do you use that? Let me show you. Go to your server.js. You need course is equals to require course. And after, let's say here, let me put app.use course. Better to move it here. Done. And now let's restart the server. But first install the course, okay? npm install node server.js, MongoDB connected. Refresh the application, enter employee ID, emp101, enter employee name, John Cena, enter employee skills, Python, Java, C++, add. No error in this console. No error in this console. Let's go to MongoDB, go to collections. Let's see the list of databases. See, this test is just now created. Earlier, there was no test. Let me open because I have not assigned any database to my application. So automatically it has created a test DB at the back. And there is employees available here. If I click, I should be having one employee. I should be having one employee, but no, let me check again. If it moved to some other place, it should be here only. No, it's not. Let me check again. Employees. I hope it's not here. So in order to do that, we'll do one more thing. It should be here only employees, but if it is not, let's debug a little bit and see why it is not here. Go to this. MongoDB was connected, everything was fine. Let's go to controller and see why we are not having the data in my database. So let's do one thing. Employee ID, name and skills. Let's do console.log new emp, comma, employee. I just want to see if I'm able to get the employee at the back. Okay. I need to restart the server and let's refresh the application once. Enter employee ID, emp101, name is John, skills, Python, C++, add it. Because I'm not able to see the data here. Still, the console is not printing anything. Go back. Let me debug it a little bit and identify what is the issue, because we are able to hit this. So how we are going to debug, we'll put the console.log as of now and see if we are able to hit the API. So basically the issue is simple. We just forgot about the brackets here. We just needed to add these round brackets after the course. We are not calling the course. It was simply like this. So we should call course. Okay. Now once it is done, I'm going to trigger node server.js again. Database was already connected. Now let's go to new request here. In the Thunder client, I am testing out. So if you see in Thunder client, you can integrate with the VS Code Thunder client. You can create a new request. Let me show you once. So if you go to new request, you can put the URL of your application. Okay. So URL is simple. This one. This is the URL I want to test. So this is kind of testing your APIs that you have created. All right, and then I'll paste the URL here. My request type is not get, it is a post request, and in the body I will pass a JSON data, the employee ID. Let's see, the employee is John. Then the employee name, employee ID is employee underscore 101. Employee name is, let's say, John. And then finally employee skills, MP skills, and in skills you can mention Python, comma Java. We are done, and then you can send. So once you send, you're able to see the status is okay. It means the data is being successfully submitted in the database. All right, and now you can just go back to your browser, refresh on the database side, go to collections, and check if you are able to get the data in test. Go to employees. There should be one employee available. Yes, perfect. So we have one employee available here. Now let's test it from the front end side. Okay, let's refresh. Enter employee ID. Now already 101 is inserted. So 102, let's name it him Smith. Skills is just Python, comma Django, comma AI. These are the three skills, and add. Added successfully. These are also cleared, and then do refresh over here, and we just want to see if my new data is being inserted. So we'll be able to clear that our front and back end working perfectly fine. Okay, see, both the employees are finally available here, and we are done with the first phase of our application, that we needed to connect our front and back end, and we needed to test it out end to end. So finally our application is running end to end. Front end is connected successfully with the back end. After this, we'll be talking about our next step. And the next step is, when I'm going to fill the task title, let's say there will be a task title, my first task, there will be a task description, let's say implement task, implement React code. This is the task. And now you have to select the employee from the available employees. Here comes the next part, that how we are going to display the list of employees over here. Okay, and that's not going to be a difficult thing for us, because what I have to do here is to display the list of employees, get all the employees from the backend, and if I click on the select button, a list will be displayed. In the options, I'll be able to see whatever the employees available in the company. Got it. Also, there will be a tab here that will be shown to you to display the employees available. And finally, after having this particular part implemented, I'll integrate the first feature of AI. That is how it is going to suggest the task title and the descriptions to us. All right. So finally, let me do one thing. I need to make a GET request to retrieve the available employees in the company. I need to get the list of employees that are available in the company. All right. So it is not going to be a difficult part. Let's go back to your application. And now you can close the servers for the front end and for the back end as well. I just want to do one thing. In my employee management, in my task management, I just want to do one thing, that if you see in this drop down, okay, I'm talking about this drop down, that it should display the available employees in my company. So let's go to app.jsx, and here I'm going to retrieve the list of employees. All right, let me show you guys quickly. So now you can use a hook known as use effect, because we are going to make an API call, and that API call will be executed parallelly. So I'm going to use a hook use effect, then fetch. Now inside the fetch, what is the URL of the API to get the employees? The URL will be, first of all, copy this till emp, paste here. Now after emp, what is the URL to get the list of employees? Emp list. So you just need to mention emp list here, and that's it. Dot then, inside then function, I'm going to mention I'll be taking response, and inside response we will check that if response is not okay, if not response dot not response dot okay, then I'll simply throw new error, and the error will be failed to fetch employees. All right, it is done. Now it is going to check if the employees are available or not. Okay, and if employees are available, then I'm going to return response dot json. So we'll be having list of employees available. All right. So inside then, this is the first bracket. This and I have response arrow curly bracket. Response is declared, but it's never used. Let's see. Then another then function I'm using. Then now, if you get the response, then let's retrieve the data. Okay. So I'll use one state to manage the employees, and let's create a const employees, and then set employees is equals to use a state. It is going to be an array. Okay. Why? Because in the array, I'll be retrieving the data of all the employees, and all the employees will be stored in an array. So then data, and the data will, I'm going to store this data in my array. So I'll simply use set employees and pass the data, and that's it. So my data will be available directly in employees array. And even you can print on console that it is able to retrieve the data of employees, just to make sure that we are able to retrieve the data. All right, we are done. And finally, you can use one catch. You can use one catch just to display the error. So I'll use catch set error. I think we need a error as well. So let's use const error set error is equals to use state, and finally you have double quotes. Now in the catch, what I can do, I can call set error, and inside set error I can pass error dot whatever the message is. I'll be passing the message from the backend. Okay, and we are done. Now finally it is going to retrieve the data for you from the API, and let's pass the dependency list as empty, because whenever you are using use effect, you need to pass the dependency list. We don't have any dependency, just use it as it is. And we are done. It is going to call this use effect will work, and it is going to fetch all the employees from the backend. And once you will retrieve the data of all the employees from the backend, I'm going to show that list of employee in my drop downs. Okay. Now we just need to test it out. So you need to pass a prop inside employees. So in the task manager, I need a prop to display the list of employees, because here in the select employees section, I need to display the data of employees. All right. So finally, I am passing the list of employee to my prop here, and this prop is an array, and this array will be printed, and then we'll be able to see all the employees coming from the database. All right. So how we are going to do that? Let's go here. Curly brackets, employees dot map, because it's an array. We will retrieve one employee at a time, and I want to create the option tag for the particular employees, and I just want to display employee.emp name. Also set the value employee.emp name. You need to set the key as well, otherwise you will get to some warnings. So you need to set employee.employee id. I'm using it as a key. Okay, so I just need to check employee id is written in caps or small. Emp small d, small d, small d, and that's it. We are done. So this particular code will be able to show you the list of employees coming from the backend. Let's quickly test it out and see if my dropdown is now filled up with the available employees in the company. So let's run the front end. Let's trigger the backend. Both are running. Let's go to the server, do a refresh. No employee available. Let's go to inspect console, and let me cross check. Spelling is also not correct, I think. Then we can cross check. Yeah, correct. So there was only the spelling mistake. I mistakenly written this response. Now you can see employee list is coming up from the database. Let's do a quickly. Let's add a new employee. Name him. What are the two employees available? John Smith. Let's add Adam. Employee name. Sorry, the ID will be EMP110. Employee name is Adam. Employee skills, Python, Java, Spring, add new employee. See, if you will do refresh, then only you'll be able to see, because right now it's not going to collect like this. See, now we are able to see Adam also here, and that's it. We are all set till here, and now we can easily submit the data in the database. But before that, I want to integrate the AI part also. So we are clear with the get and post type of request. See, our full stack application is already implemented. Full stack is already done here. We have implemented front and back end database. All three are working fine for us. Now finally it is the time to integrate our first AI feature, that it is going to suggest me the particular task title, what should be the title, what should be the description for a particular task. So that is going to be our next part. Now we are going to start our one of the main step, that is how we are going to integrate the AI part in our application. For AI, we can use multiple things. I'll be using Google Cloud Console. The reason is simple, that I'm going to use the Gemini Pro model, and that model will give you enough data in free. Okay, you can use OpenAI API calls as well, but the point is, in those particular API, you might face some issues, like after calling multiple time or concurrently, you might get errors. So that's why I'm going to prefer right now Google Cloud. So let's create a new project first. Okay, I will simply name it as Jira app AI. Let me create this project. Once the project will be created, we'll move to a service, and let's search for IAM and admin. Okay, let's go to this IAM and admin, and we have to switch the project. Okay, whatever the project you have created, this is the project I want to use. All right, so this is the project that we have. Now, what we have to do in this is we have to create a service account. Okay, you can simply search for service accounts and go to this service account. I am an admin. We need to create a service account first. So let's create a service account. You can name it as Jira App AI Vertex. I've named it. That's it. Create and continue. You can select a role. Let's say I'm going to search for Vertex. And in the Vertex, you will see Vertex AI admin. So you can manage everything. So you can simply search for AI admin. It's enough. Otherwise, there are a lot of things. I just want to search for admin. If you want, you can search one more thing. Let's search for storage. For storage, I want to search for storage admin. I want to grant all the access for the admin as well. Let's do continue. Okay. And this is optional. You can just do done. Now it is implemented. Let's go to this, click here. It will generate the API key for us. Okay. And the service account needs to be enabled. It is already enabled for us. And if you'll go to keys, there is a keys tab. Then let's add a key of JSON type. It will download the JSON file for you. Remember, this is a useful file for us. Okay. We need this JSON file. So make sure to save this JSON file properly. And this is going to be the key that I'm going to use. So my first part is set, that I'm all set with the Google Cloud Console. This was the very first thing. Now after this, let's go to the code part. In my code, what we need is, there is a folder known as services. Inside this, I'm going to create a new file. Let's name it as AI service.js. Okay. Now this AI service.js will be responsible to handle multiple things like I can predict the task time, how much time user should take to complete the task. I want to get the suggestions, everything. Okay. So first of all, we need Axios at the backend also, because I'm going to call the API of Google. That's why I need Axios at the backend as well. Second thing I need is the Google Auth library. So actually you need two different packages. Let me control C, control C. Let's see. Let me clear it out. Now, in the backend, you have to install Axios and another package known as Google Auth library. Google Auth library. All right. We need these two packages here. Let it install. Once it is installed, you can simply use Google Auth is equals to require, and you're going to require it from Google Auth library. All right. So now there are two dependencies, Axios and Google Auth, both we have. Now, once we have these two things, let's create get task suggestion. Okay. So this get task suggestion is sync. I'm going to pass my input text, whatever the text will be having, I'm going to pass it here. All right. So this get task suggestion function, we are going to call it. And when you're going to call, you're going to pass the input text. Based on that text, it is going to suggest you that what should be your task suggestions, like what task descriptions you can add in that. Okay. Let's use a try catch block. In the try, we need response is equals to await Axios dot post. Now, the most important thing is the URL of the Gemini API. And the URL is pretty simple. Let me tell you, the URL is simple. I remember that HTTPS, then generative language dot google apis.com slash. Now after this, we tell about the model we are going to use. So by default, we are going to use V1 beta models. You have to tell which model you are going to use. I'm going to use Gemini hyphen Pro model. And what is the service of Gemini Pro you want to use? I want to use generate content. That's it. Okay. This is the URL required to hit the Gemini API. Now, once you write this, now you have to pass the parameter. In the parameter, you are going to pass the content. And in the content, what I have to pass, let me tell you. So in the content, you need to pass parts. In the parts, you have to pass another array. It will be like a text. Now, what is your text? What do you want to ask to Gemini? I want to ask, suggest task names for whatever my input is. So dollar, curly brackets, input, text. That's it. We are done. And after this curly bracket, again here, I need to pass the headers. In the headers, you need to pass the content type. The content type will be JSON. So you need to write application slash JSON. And the parameters, you need to pass your key. Okay. In the parameter, we need to pass key from where I'll receive the key. Now this time I'm going to integrate the dot environment file. So process dot environment dot whatever the variable name you want to put, or if like you don't want to integrate the dot env, you directly want to pass the key, it's up to you. So I'll mention a Google. Let's name the variable Google Palm API key. So finally, now I need a .env file. .env file. I need Google Palm API key. Okay, here I can directly paste my API key. Just copy and paste. That's it. Okay, so here I'm using this. Similarly, you can put the different APIs, whatever you have. Like if you want to integrate some other APIs of OpenAI, you want to whatever you want to integrate, just make sure you need to integrate it over here. Other than that, what I need to pass is Google credentials. Now that credentials is actually my JSON file. So you need to, whatever you downloaded, the JSON file you downloaded, you need to copy that file and you have to paste it in your backend folder. Okay, you need to paste it in the backend folder. I'm renaming it Jira App AI. Let's name it as it is Jira App AI. This is the JSON file I have. So let's go through this once. First of all, we have AI service. Okay, we have this particular AI service, and now what this service is exactly doing, we are first of all checking if we can get the task suggestion. How we'll get the task suggestion? Through this URL. Okay, so first this URL will be called. Let me check again. So we have generative language dot google apis.com v1 beta models, then Gemini Pro, and then generate content. Content C should be capital. Now in the contents, we have to send the parts. In the text, we are passing suggest task name for this input text. All right. And then in the header, we have content type as application JSON, and then parameter key is process.env.Google Palm API key. Now in the error section, before that, what you're going to return from here is, what we are going to return is response. Inside response, there will be data. Now in the data, there will be multiple things like you have to reach out to the content. So for that, you need to write dot candidates dot square bracket 0 dot content dot parts then again dot, go to zero index and then pick the text. And otherwise, I'll simply pass no suggestions. Now, how this is going to work, you have this data and then use a question mark. Like if data is available, then pick the candidates. If candidates are there, then go to the zero index. After zero index, content is available. Then check for the parts. Parts are available, then parts, then zero. Go to zero index, get the text. So this is a simple syntax to retrieve the response data that we have. Okay. Now in the catch error, let me print the error in chat. Error in API. And let's print the error. What exactly the error is. So how you are going to print? I want to print error dot response dot data. Okay. Or you can also print error dot message if message is available. And then return from here error pitching in suggestions. This is the first API we want to test if I'm able to retrieve. Okay. So now finally module.exports is equals to get task suggestion. So this is the first API I want to test. If this API will work, another API will also work, because with the help of this particular API, we are going to test multiple things. Like if API is working and all. So this is how we are going to make sure that everything is fine. I have not used Google Earth. I'll tell you where we are going to use it properly. Okay, I just need to import this and it will go to your .env file and it is going to search for the APIs that you have mentioned. All right. And now because we have integrated the .env file, so in the server.js, what you can do is you can mention require .env .config. All right, this is going to be your first line, and then do one thing, install the .env package in the backend. npm install .env. All right, so almost done with the code part. We have integrated. Also, you can like remove the Mongo URI from here. You can cut this and paste it in the .env file. And then one more thing, in the server.js. Now, instead of this, what you can write, process.env.mongo URI. Okay, so I have changed few things like this. So I hope it makes sense till here. Now, in order to call this get task suggestion function, we have to integrate the task controller, task route, everything related to task. We have already created the task JS here. But if you see in the task, we have the basic requirement, like we have the task title, description, employee name. Let me add a new parameter, estimated time. This will be also calculated using AI. Okay. So we just need to check if we are able to get the estimated time through AI. Let's close it. Go to task controller. Now in the task controller, we need const task is equals to require // model / task. Next thing we need is const curly bracket get task suggestion. It is suggestions or suggestion. It is suggestion from, you can do require, the name of the file is services / AI service. Whatever the service you are going to create in the AI service. Let's say I have get task suggestion. After that, I'll create a predict task time kind of a function. So whatever function we are going to create, we'll call it in the controller here. First of all, let's create get auto suggestion API. Okay, first we are going to create this service for exports dot suggest task is equals to async request response const input, whatever input you're going to pass from your front end request dot body body and then const suggestions is equals to await get task suggestion. Call this function, pass your input to this. So whatever the task suggestions are there, you will get it and return the results in the JSON like this. Then that's it. This is the only service I'm implementing right now. Other than that, you can create task service, get all tasks. I'll do that. Okay. That's not the priority right now. Priority is to integrate one AI feature first. So the AI feature we are implementing first for the to get the task suggestion. How we will reach to this? Through the routes only. There's only one way. So using the route, we have to reach out to this controller. So const express is equals to, let me just copy paste quickly this code. Copy and paste. That's it. Okay. Remove this. So instead of employee controller, we have task controller. And what is the route you want to create to get the task suggestion? So I need, first of all, the request type will be post and employee list is not there. There will be suggest kind of the URL I'll create. And then the function name is suggest task. Okay. Yeah. So there is only one API, one URL I'm creating just to get the suggestions of the task, whatever I type. All set. Routes are also done. Now after that, after routes, the main server.js needs to connect with your route const task route is equals to require dot slash not dot slash routes task route, and you can mention the API task routes. All set for the task. Now let's go to front end. Back end is done. From the back end point of view, if you want to map, so first we will hit the API, go to task route. Task route will check if you are going to hit the suggest API. So suggest task will execute. It is going to take the input from the user, go to the get task suggestion function, takes your input, hit the API of Gemini, put this text, whatever the input you are passing, will return the response. It is a bit of complicated thing, but if I print the response data, you will understand why I have written like this, because it returns the data in that pattern. I know I have implemented earlier, so that's why I have not wasted time on printing the response data, then showing you one by one the JSON. So I'm directly aware of this. First you get the data. Obviously data is always there. Then we have candidates. Inside candidate will be content and parts, and then you can retrieve the text from it. It's a simple pattern to hit the Gemini. Okay, we are done. Now comes the final UI part, that how we are going to hit this API from the assigned task file, task management. So from the task management, we have to hit that. Let's create the required variables first. So based on the task title, API will execute. Set task title is equals to use state. Okay, other than that, you'll be having task description, set task description is equals to use state. Other than that, you will be having assign employees, assigned EMP. So set assign EMP use state. I'm just initializing the variables because later we need all these variables. Okay, so that's why I'm initializing here. Now comes our major variable, that is the suggest or suggestions variable. Set suggestions is equals to use state, and it is going to be an array. Okay, because from the backend it is going to suggest a lot of things, so that's why I need an array. So we have this array available. Similarly, you need prediction, and also you can initialize a variable to get the predicted time to complete the task. So set predicted time, and it is going to be simple string. It's not a difficult thing. It is going to be a simple string. Or you can, instead of a string, let's set it as null. Okay. Now finally I have the required variables with me. So in order to hit the API of task suggestion, let me comment it out. This is going to be auto completion suggestion API. So const handle task suggestion is equals to async e, because the moment you type, not the moment you type, actually, we'll put a condition that at least 3 to 4 letters should be there. So once you set 3 to 4 letters in your text box, after that we will call the API. So set task title, uh, title e dot target dot value. So first we receive the text box value. Now I have the text box value with me. Let's put a if task title dot length is greater than, let's say, 3, then only I'll hit the API. Okay, it's a good thing, because on the very first letter, what suggestion you'll get? Nothing. So at least type 3 to 4 letters, then you'll get the data. Okay, so I'm checking here, if task title dot length is greater than 3, then only it will work. Now let's use a try. So first we need to hit the API. So in order to hit the API, const response is equals to await Axios dot post. Now my API URL, I'll copy it from here till this. The URL is same. Now after API, we need task. Let me cross check. After API, we need task. After task, we need from the route, we can see suggest. All right, done. Now what is the input you're going to pass to this? It's simple task title. I just want to pass the task title as input to my API. So this was the first part to hit the API. So now this is the API call. And now what you are going to do, set suggestions and response dot data you will receive. And then you can split the data. Okay, it's better to, because whatever the data you're going to receive, just split it. Okay, in the data you'll get suggestions dot split it using /n. All right. So whatever suggestions I'm going to receive, I'm going to split them with the /n. If I get any error, so I'll print it in the console. Error while fetching suggestions. All right. And what is the error? You can print. Done. Now we want to call this API when you type something in your text box. Which text box? Task title. So we're going to attach that particular function with our task title. So I'll simply write on change handle task suggestion. That's it. You can mention the value as well. That is the task title. Now it is going to call the handle task suggestion. Now once it is executed, if you want, you can print the output in the console first, and later you can print the output on the UI side. Let me print the suggestions in my console just to make sure that I'm receiving the suggestions. That's it. All right, we are all set, and finally everything is ready with our side. So how it is going to work? First, you type something in your text box. You're going to enter a task title. When you enter the task title, it will call handle task suggestion. It will simply get the task value, whatever you have written in the text box. It is going to check the length. What is the length of the text box? Like if it is greater than 3, then it will hit the API. Okay, once the API will call, it is going to pass your input text, and once my backend will receive that input, it is going to find out the suggestions and return it back to you, and we are set to test it out. All right, Just cross your finger that it should work in one execution. I'm not sure if it will work because sometimes the issue with API is always there, but still, let's see. Node server.js, MongoDB connected, front end, execute this, just refresh. All right, everything is fine. Perfect. Now let's open the console. Okay. All right. Now, let's start typing the task. Now, what is the task I want my employee to do? Like I want my employee to implement the front end or implement the back end part. These are the kind of task I want to assign, but I'm not sure what is the description I should put, what is the correct sentence I should put. So AI will suggest. All right, let's see. In see 4 characters I'm here typing, so it should start working. But if there is nothing in the output, see, suggestions are there, but it's an empty array. Okay. Suggestions are there, but it's an empty array. It means API call was there, but let's see what happened in the back end. Error, API key not valid. Okay, API key is not valid. Valid API key, valid API key. Why API is not valid? I have to check that now. Google Palm API key. Let's do one thing. Okay. 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 Just go to Google AI Studio. Okay. Just go here. AI Studio. Pick the API key from here. Get API key. Use this. It will be a shortcut and it is going to be a better approach. You don't have to do the long journey for. So it is need to be for Jira app, create API in existing project, or you can create a new project. It's up to you. Just copy this API and then test. It should work. Just restart the backend. Go back, refresh. Now I want to print again. Implement React. Let me see. Suggestions are still not there. Why? There is no error in the backend this time. It means API key is working fine for us. But if we are not receiving something in the suggestions, let's go to AI service here. So now what we can do here is just print like what is the response we are receiving here. In the console, I'm trying to print responses from Gemini. Just print the response data. That's it. Let's see if it is going to work. Refresh. Search for task. Let's say Python implementation. Okay, if I search for something, then if I go to inspect in the console, it might return you the data, but initially I can see it's an empty array for us. Suggestions is by default empty, but definitely it will return you data. See, it is going to return you data. Okay. So we will cross check once that so that when I press the key immediately, if it is able to return the data or not, that we can check once. Okay. But we can see AI is working for us. It is returning the data. API call is running fine. Okay. No issue with that. So now if we are able to receive the data, we need to print the suggestions over here. So finally, the last part is to print the suggestions in our front end. Okay. Now, in order to print the suggestions in your front end, you already have the suggestions data available. Suggestion is the variable we have already created. Now, where do you want to print the suggestions? It's up to you. So I want to print the suggestion in this div here. Let's do curly brackets, suggestions dot length greater than 0. So we will print only if the length of the suggestion is greater than 0, and then I'm going to create dynamically ULLI. Okay. So li will be created based on suggestions dot map, because we are receiving an array. So there will be a suggestion and then there will be an index of suggestion. And in this bracket, I'll create li tag. So it is going to create the number of li we have. So put the key as I variable, and the data will be curly bracket s. That's it. So this is all set now. This is how we are going to print the suggestions in a list. And now let me do clear node server.js. So our front end is up, back end is up. Let me do a refresh. So let's start typing here and see if we are able to print the suggestions in front of us. So I just need to write Python, see, we're getting them implementation. We are able to receive the suggestions through the AI. Perfect. So now what it is creating, okay? It is like, because on every key press, it is going to the backend, it is hitting the API. So that's why it takes time a little bit. So in Python implementation, it is giving you a lot of suggestions. Now it depends obviously on you how many suggestions you want, because I have not sliced the array. I'm just executing whatever the data I'm receiving. You can do the slice method and on from the backend how much data you want to return. Now I can see Python implementation is my task title. What is the task description you want? Let me copy this and I can paste it out here. And then I can select the employee to which employee you want to assign the task. Perfect. So this is how we are able to assign the task to the employees. And if you don't want to print all the suggestions, you can simply put some condition. You can put some slice method or something, like I just want to print the first 10. So this is how you can implement it. Okay. And if I remove Python, I just want to integrate the Django with it. So it will get the suggestions based on that only. Python Django, if I write here task title, so it will get the task related to Django now. So finally, our AI integration is done. This is the first phase of the AI integration that we have implemented in this Jira application. Let us now continue with this AI integration part. Now we know that we have this assigned task and all. So first, what you can do in order to simplify it a little bit, let me try something. So first of all, I want to restrict the number of suggestions I'm getting from the backend. So I'll do one thing. Instead of this return statement, let me try to simplify and see if it will work properly. Return suggestions response dot data dot candidates will be there. First of all, remember candidates will be always there. Okay. If candidates are not there, you can put the message that no suggestions are available, kind of. Okay. So in this, you can use a method slice because it's an array, and I just want to print the first 10 suggestions. So for that, I'm using this part here just to understand if it is going to work or not. But the problem is, then I have to use JSON response.json. Okay, slice. After that, let's copy this and paste. Let me try this. And also, instead of getting everything on the typing of the text, we'll get the data on a button click. That there will be a button for the AI integration. So let me write implement SQL. See, by default, it is able to get the, but see, L is not there in the last. See, if you see implement SQ is there, why not SQL is there? The problem is it is always one letter behind, because when you do on change event, when you use the events like on change, this will always happen. Okay. So if I hit this implement SQL, or if I implement Java collections, so now it is showing you the limited options only. It's not showing unlimited options like it was doing earlier. Okay, only 10 features are available, 10 suggestions are there for AI. This is what I was about to achieve. So we are able to achieve this. And instead of getting everything on button click, instead of getting everything on typing the text, we can get the data on a button click. All right. How to do that? It's simple. You just need to integrate a button parallel to this button, assign task, and then you can do on click. What was the name of the function? Handle task suggestion. All right. So I don't want to call handle task suggestion here. I just want to do something that is set set task title e dot target dot value. Now you don't need the syntax here. So look like it would be a better approach for us so that whenever we are going to hit the API, it will work on a button call now. Okay, so I have integrated two buttons. One is the assign task and one is the generate AI task suggestions. And this AI task suggestion will be margin left 2 pixels. Margin left 2 pixel is not working. Width is 1 by 2. Okay, 1 by 3. Let's do 1 by 3. Generate AI suggestions. That's it. Now let's type, because now when you type, you won't get the hint. You will get the hint when you click on the generate AI task suggestion button. Now let's type here, implement Java collections and then generate. Wait for it. Perfect. It's working perfectly fine for us. And then I can simply copy any task from here and paste in my description. And then if I click on assign task, like say I want to assign this task to Smith. And when I click on assign task, two things will happen. One, another API will execute that will predict the time to implement this. Second thing, it will store my data in the database. These are the last two things we have to implement to complete this application, and then we are all done with the application. So in order to achieve this functionality, we can simply go back here. We have this button that generate the task suggestion, that is the assign task. Now finally, there is the last button that we have that will work for us to assign the task. Let's create a function const handle assign task. This is the function we are creating. It will call the API, so it will be async, then try. In the try block, to try catch. So first in the try block, I'll use const response is equals to await Axios, and in the Axios dot post, we will hit the API, copy this URL, paste it. Now the thing is, it is not going to call the suggest, it is going to call the creation of the task part. So we want to create one more service, one more route will be there that will call a function known as create task. So we need a function known as create task in my controller. So we need a function that is going to handle the task creation thing, and that's the easy part. So you just need exports dot create task is equals to a sync request response, then const. What are the things you want to store in the database? So there will be task title, description. So first we will receive task title, we will receive the description of task, we will receive the employee name. These three things I'm going to receive from the front end, correct? And these things I can retrieve from the request.body. Then I want to calculate the estimated time. I want to write a service that will calculate the estimated time. And see, just copy this service because we have already implemented this part. Paste it. Now instead of get task suggestion, get predicted time. Get task prediction task Get task prediction. Okay. Now, what is the text you want? The text I am going to put here is to my AI service. I'll ask that I need how much time it is going to take for a simple developer to implement this. Okay. So I'll put a prompt like this: give answer in one line only. First, I am mentioning him that please answer me in one line only. Why? Because it might generate a lot of things in the answer. So I'm asking it to give answer in one line only first. Then how much time it will take me to complete this task in hours and minutes. In hours, let's say. Okay. So I just want to know in hours I'll pass. So this is the get task prediction function. Everything will be same. Nothing you have to change. That's it. It will return you the prediction. Okay. And then get task suggestion. After that, another function is get task prediction. So two functions are there. You can connect this prediction function with your controller. So now I will get the estimated time. Estimated time will be equals to await get task prediction. And you need to pass the task. You can pass the task description. So based on my description of the task, I want to know how much time it will take to complete. Create a new object of task, curly bracket. What are the arguments? There's the task title, task description, employee name, and then finally the estimated time it will take to complete the task. Then await task dot save. Finally, response dot JSON task and done. We have created the task successfully. You can write one service to export all the tasks as well. So export dot get all tasks. So I'll print the task list available at the backend. Async request comma response. So use simply a try catch const task is equals to await task dot find method. It will retrieve all the tasks available in my collection. Response dot JSON task. Done. And finally, if I don't receive the task, it means might be I get the error. Let's say status code 500 JSON, put the error message. Let's put simple, as of now, I'm writing just internal server error. All right, we are done. So it will retrieve all the task. It is going to create the task. It is going to suggest the task. Go to your routes. Now I can call the create task. Okay. And the URL will be create task. Similarly, I have router dot get slash get task list. So it will retrieve all the tasks available in my database. Get all task and done. See, I'm just creating the APIs one by one. First, we created the employee API completely. Then we are creating this task API. So first I have suggest task, then create task, then get all task. All right. So finally, task route is done. Task controller is all set. It is going to take the predicted time from here, estimated time from here. I just need to make one thing very sure here. What was the task.js schema? I just want to see my schema. Estimated time. Okay, I just wanted to cross check actually. Estimate time. Perfect. It is string. Yeah, correct. All right, we are all set here. Suggested task, create task, get all task, environment is okay, close it. AI service is also fine. That we can get the task prediction. And instead of suggestion, I'll write prediction. For the input task, take this response from Gemini, no suggestion, no time prediction. Let me write. Okay, done. Perfect. This is also done. Server, no change needed. Task management. All right. Now let's get back to task management. So finally, we have created the API in the backend. So what is the data you want to pass from here? So from here, we'll be passing three things: task title, task description, employee name, and in return, what I'll get is the estimated time to complete a task. So let me clear all the variables: task description, employee name. Actually, that was assign employees, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, that is assign employees. And also clear the suggestions. Okay, you just can clear the suggestions here. And inside the catch, you can put a alert or console dot error something that not able to receive the not able to create the task. Error creating task. And done. All set. Now finally we need to click on this button, which this button. Apply on, click on this button and call handle task function. So when I click on the button, when I click on assign task button, it is going to redirect me to this function. This function will call this API task create. Let me cross check the route once. Yeah, that is create task. Okay, otherwise it won't work. So create task is the name of my API. It is going to trigger. Then it is going to pass three things to the API: title, description, and employee name. Okay, so it will take three variables to create task function in the controller, that is title, description, and employee name. Let me make it correct. Because it might do this issue, but I just want to be sure that it should not happen. All right. So whatever we are going to pass from the front end received till here. Now I'm passing my task description to get task description, sorry, prediction. This is going to predict how much time it is going to take for the employee to complete this task. The prediction will be returned to us, and finally we'll be printing that prediction. Now where I'm going to print that prediction, we have not implemented that part. That part will be will be written in the, I think that we can do in the task board. Okay, the final file we have is the employee tabs. I think we can name it as task board, but let's print it on the console or somewhere so that we can get to know that this is what we have right now. This is the prediction. Let's print in the console right now how much time it is going to take to get the task done. Okay, so in the AI service we are already printing everything on the console. Okay, and this is not going to be the array like this, so you can remove this thing from here. I don't think this is required here. Other than that, because it is going to be a simple message, so I don't need the slice method here. Rest of the things will be same. All right. What else is required to print the data? Okay, so first let's try to execute till here and see if we are able to submit the data in the database. And also we need to see if we are getting the predictions. All right. Um, response comma response, where response, it should be request comma response. All right, let's hit this. Now I want to enter a task, because until you click on the generate AI task suggestion, it won't hit the API. So it will be a savior for us. We won't be hitting the APIs again and again. Okay, so enter the task title, implement joins in SQL. Okay, now let's enter the description. And even if you want to generate the task suggestion, let's generate it first and see if we are able to get the suggestions. Yes, we are able to get the suggestions. Where I removed the slice. In the AI service, we removed slice from this one only. All right. Let's copy any one thing. I'm going to copy this description of the task and paste using join indexes for efficient data retrieval in my SQL. I'm writing this thing from my side. Okay, select the employee, assign. Okay, so it means API is not hit because the text box is not empty. It should be empty here. Employee name is not defined in line number 28. In line number 28, employee name, assign employee. The variable name is assign EMP. Okay, refresh, enter the task title again, implement joins in SQL. This is the task. The description is, let's generate the suggestions. Yep, here are the suggestions. I need to check again why it's not printing only first 10. Okay, we'll check. Implement full outer join, implement inner join. Let's copy this complete. Okay, copy this, pasting it in my description, implement inner join, merge two table based on matching value, and let's see how much time it is going to predict to complete this task. Assign it. Still something is, get task suggestion for, okay, perfect, query is still here, but why it's not cleared? Everything should be cleared from here. Task description, assign employee. Okay, I got it. It's okay. Let's go to the database. Let's go to the database and see if the data is being stored. Let's refresh, and we want to see if we have the prediction available in my database. See, there is a task. These are the employees available. Let's go to task and see how many tasks we have. So there is one task, insufficient information provided to determine the time. Okay, so basically it was not able to find the prediction for this particular task. All right, no issue. We'll try again. So let me simply write implement UL. Let me write here implement joins in SQL. This is the only prompt I want to give. And let's click directly on assign task. See, our data is going to store in the database. That is first thing, working for perfectly fine. Last thing is AI prediction should be accurate. It should not be accurate. At least we'll get that there is some suggestions of the time it is going to tell you. I need to check why it is saying the insert. Okay, perfect. Cannot be determined without the task detail. Why? Oh, because the task description is empty. See, task description is going empty. That's why it's not able to predict the estimated time. This is the issue. Okay, we got it. We got it. Task description, task title, task, because this thing is not implemented in rest of the set task description, and then select set sign employee. That's why. See, we're not also having the employee name here. That's why. Now I have three things: task title, description, estimated time. All right. And one thing I need to add here is value, so that whenever I submit the application, it should empty all the text boxes. Okay. Task description, and the final one is, it's not required here. And we are all set. This time we will definitely get a good prediction. Okay, let's enter the task title. Implement Java. Let's take one topic, multi-threading. Okay, and now my description is, let's generate the AI. We want to test end to end. Okay, these are the suggestions. Build a Java multi-thread program, create and synchronize Java thread. Let's copy, paste in the description, select the employee, Adam. All right, now we want to see if we are able to get the, so what will be the prompt? Prompt will be, we want to get the time for create and synchronize Java thread. Assign it. Yep, all are empty. Adam is remaining because I did not set it as empty. Now go here, refresh, and see if we have the estimated time for the last task. depends on the complexity of the task and efficiency of the code. Okay. So, yep, that we need to be a little bit more precise about the prompt then, whatever we are going to mention, so that it can actually predict the proper time to us. Let's give it more specific detail. Um, let's this time use learn MySQL. Okay, generate AI task suggestions for MySQL. Perform CRUD. Simple. Perform CRUD operations in MySQL. And then I want to check if this time it will be able to. It should be. See, predictions are working fine for us. We just need to uh, make a proper prompt so that we can get the data in hours. See, this is what I was talking about. Perfect. We are getting the estimated time. We are getting the predictions now. And now the final thing is you just need to render everything here. You just need to show everything in the output window. And for that, you don't have to do anything. Just get everything from the database and print it out on the front end. So the remaining file is the employee tabs. And inside the employee tab, you just need to print everything. Okay. From app.js, what you can do, because you are already having the employees data, so you can print all the employees list here. And also you can get one more thing, that is the task. So just copy this, paste, and now instead of employee list, I'll call task slash task list. Let's cross check once. In the route we have get task list. So use get task list here. Done. Now need a variable const task list comma set task list is equals to user state. It is going to be another array. And finally, you need to set task list. We don't need console again here. We don't need console here. All right, perfectly fine for us. We are done. Just need to print the data here. So export const task board. In the task board, will be passing, you can pass two things. One is the employees and one is you can pass the task data as well. So I can pass the list of employees and also I can pass the task list here. Okay, and I just need to print everything. So in order to print everything, you just need a div, you just need to print the data. So you can copy the employees from the options. We have already coded this one earlier. So here I want to print one h3 tag. Let's name it as taskboard, paste, not directly. Use a UL tag, then paste. So first it is going to print the list of employees available. First thing, okay? And it should create li tag. I is li. And everything needs to be wrapped in a div. So just cut this code, paste in div, and we are done. So first I want to check, yeah, this should be working because obviously all the employees are already available. We just need to display the data of employees. So at the end, I want to display task board. So in my task board, the first prop is employees. See, employees are here. This should be in the container. Okay, this should be in the container. Let's do one thing. Let's take a main tag, paste it, and give this flex and everything to this main. The reason being is I will put the task board in my container div. And I don't want to make it as a part of flex. So that's why this is the container I have. This is my main section, the first two section, and this is the task board. See, task board is here. The name of the employees are available here. And if you don't want to print the name of employee, you can, instead of working on the employees, just work on the task list. it would be better. You will get one task at a time. So from the task, you can get the task. I don't have the task ID, I guess. So let's use task name. Not a good practice, but still we can use. So from the task, we will get the assign employee name, no value. So first it will print the task employee name, whatever the name of employee is. Then it is going to print the task, that is the task title. So task title is task title. Cross check it from your model task.js. Here there is a task title. Then I want to print task dot task description, and finally I want to print the estimated time. So it will be task dot estimated time. Something is not correct here. Task name is nothing. There is task title. Let me go to inspect and see what's wrong. Cannot read properties of undefined. Task list is undefined. Task list, because we have not passed task list. We have to pass task list. Okay, refresh, close it. See, here we have the task list with the time required. We are all done. Now it's up to you. How do you want to style your application? You can use flex, you can use justify space around or something like this. And employee name is not available. Why? Task.emp name, why it is not there? Let me check. Employee name is not stored. Oh, because that was assign employee, I guess. So only one variable is not working for us, that is the assign employee. So we can cross check it why it is not working. Isn't it available everywhere? No. Why employee name is not there? MP name, task controller. We are saving employee name everywhere. Then why it is not working? Got it. Go back to task management. The variable name is assign employee here. Perfect. You need the same variable name, but we replaced it. Assign EMP. All right. So we need to submit one more task to test it properly. So now I'm going to enter a new task. Implement Java networking. Let's create some suggestions. These are some suggestions. And then copy this. Yeah, copy this. Establish WebSocket connections. Paste here in Java and select employee John, assign task. Done. Refresh the application. Implement, where it is? Yeah, here it is, but still the employee name is not there. Task.emp name, still the employee name is not stored. Okay, that's not the like barrier for us. We can think of the solution why it is not getting. We just need to cross check. It's not even, actually it's not submitted in the database, so we'll check why it is not. Other than that, we are completely fine with our application. You just need to make this application look a little bit better. Okay, so we can add few class names here from our Tailwind. Let's say I want to add bg white, and then I want to add a margin in between, so that will be margin from left right, so that mx is 3 will get the margins. Actually this bg white should be on this board. Okay, and then like rest of the things you can implement based on your styling, whatever you want. So class name would be um, font We can set class name to font. It will be text. Let's set it as 3XL. Okay. And then make it bold. So you can use font bold, margin bottom 5, give it margin top 5, give this padding as well P5. All right, so this is how cool our task board will look, and rest of the thing, like you can just create separators or something in between. It's up to you. If you don't want to use flex, you can use something else. Okay, because I need a separator in between, so it's up to you how you're going to separate all the tasks. Okay, so for each task I can assign a different background color, so I can mention BG blue 100. So each task will be look like this, and then assign a padding of 5 pixel to each. So this is how my task board will look like. And after that, what you can do, assign a button to delete the task. So guys, finally our application is ready, and you can see we can add the employee, we can add the task title description, we can generate AI suggestions. When we click on assign, it will generate the time prediction for each task. So this is how our application will work now. Let me give it W 1 by 4, 1 by 3. Be okay. No, because it is not flex. Let me check one thing. In the cheat sheet, we have the flex available. Actually, I want to wrap the flex. So I just need to use flex wrap. Okay. So here I'll write flex wrap and see the output. So that will show not all the tasks I want to see here. I want to see one by one. Let's give a margin bottom. This is how it will keep on assign the task. If I mean will be okay. Yeah, like this. So this is how my task list will look like. So in a row, I just want to show you 3 tasks. Okay, let's add one more task so it will be much better for us. So this time the task title, I'm going to let's final test will do with the employee assignment as well. I just want to see why my assign employee is not there. Let's go here. E dot target dot value or change e dot target dot value. I think should work on the select tag only, but it is not passing the employee name to my backend. Okay, we'll test it out. Let me just enter a new task. Implement hooks in React. Let's generate some suggestions based on AI. See, there are a lot of suggestions. We need to check why it is generating a lot of suggestions, okay? Because earlier it was supposed to generate only 10 suggestions. So that we have to check once. That I can check later, okay? So let's copy, integrate the use effect hook, just paste and mention a proper, you can mention a proper prompt here. You can select the employee and assign. So it is assigned, but because application is not getting refreshed automatically, we have to do this. So now you can see it is predicting the time for you. Okay, I hope guys it was a great application to get started with. You can mention predicted time, task description. Sorry, this was the title, was the description. Then we'll be able to print the data like this. So this is how my task list will look like finally. So finally we are ready with the application. We can add the employees. We can add the data of tasks, we can generate AI suggestions, and finally we are printing the predicted time. And you can show that this time is, because this time is being a part of AI. So that's why I want to highlight it a little bit different. So I'll just make it bold. Predicted time. Okay. You can change the color and everything. So just want to highlight this thing. Rest is up to you how you want to integrate. One last issue in our application is that we are not able to see the employee name actually. But if we look at our database, see in the collections as well, there is no employee name available. And why it is not stored? Let's check with the model. Looks like something is not valid with the model. Like we are sending the employee name, but it is not able to store it here. Go to the VS Code and see why we are sending the employee name. Okay, it should be assign employees. Okay, the name should be assign employee. Why? Because in the task controller as well, we are using assign employee here. So the name should be assign employees. But the problem is not for all the employees will be able to see the data. Few employees we are able to see here at the end for the detail of the particular employees that we stored. Because in our collection, if you see in the starting few of the documents, there is no employee name. Okay. But now if you will add the employee name, also let me do one thing. Simply write here emp name. Okay. Now see, if you see here, employee name is not available, but let me do one thing. The task title, let's say this time if I'm writing learn Python. Okay. In this Python programming, I'm mentioning the task description, Python, or first you can generate the AI suggestions as well, just to test it out, that we can copy any suggestion from here. Okay, so just copy this Python for web development essentials using Flask. I will mention. So it will generate the particular prediction time for this particular task, and let's click on assign task. All right. Now let me do refresh once and see assign task. The employee name is available. Everything is there. Approximately time is there. So everything is now working perfectly fine for us. We are able to see the employee name is there. So initially the employee name was not stored. So that's why it's not visible to us. But if you will add the employee name properly, everything will be visible to us. And in the collections, if I do refresh, let me check. We logged out. I have to log in back again. Okay, so once you log in back, let's look at our tasks. So we have 10 tasks and the last one was this. So now we can see assign employee. See, assign employee is not available everywhere. At this time it's blank and not even assign employee key value pair is there. So wherever now from now onwards we'll be having employee name store. So after that, if you want, you can just clear this data and start inserting the data again. So from the very first task board, you will be able to see the employee name will be allotted to the employee. So that's it, and this is how our application looks like finally. And we are able to see that our employee name and task title, description, everything is visible. Prediction is working fine. We are able to generate the task suggestions. So here we have the end-to-end project implementation for a AI-powered Jira application that includes a complete MERN stack as well as Tailwind for the UI part. So this is how you should like initialize a project and complete it end to end. Thanks for watching this, and we'll connect later for another project.